So here in our HTTP service, if we have an unexpected error, currently we log it on the console. This is perfectly fine on a development machine, but when we deploy our application to a production environment, this is not going to be helpful. Because as you know, this console is part of the end user's browser. And as developers, we don't have access to that console. So we need to store this error, we need to log it somewhere that we can access. And that's when we use a logging as a service provider. There are several login as a service providers out there. My absolute favorite is Sentry.io. I've talked about this service in my other courses. It is my absolute favorite service. So let me give you a quick tour of how you can use Sentry. When you create an account and log in, you'll see a dashboard like this. Here we can create a new project. On the top, you can select the kind of your project, in this case, React. We give it a name, let's say React App. Create a project. Now, all we have to do is to install a script called Raven.js and then write a few lines of configuration in our index.js to initialize Raven. So back in VS Code, open up the terminal and install Raven-JS version 3.26.4. Beautiful. Now, let's go to index.js. Here on the top, we import Raven from Raven.js. So Raven is an object. It has a bunch of methods. Now we go back to Sentry.io website. We're going to copy this configuration from here and paste it right here. Note that here we have two properties, release, which indicates the version of our application. So in your log, you can see what version this error is coming from. Let's set this to version 1. We also have the environment set to development-test. Potentially in the future, you can dynamically set this depending on the current environment. For now, let's not get hung up on these details. So we configure Raven and install it. Done. Finally, with this, we can go back to our HTTP service. And instead of logging this error on the console, we'll log it using Raven. So on the top, we import Raven from Raven-js and then replace this console.log with Raven.capture exception. We pass our error here. Done. That's all we had to do. Now let's test this. So I'm going to go back to our app.js and modify our handle delete method to create an unexpected error. So just like before, I'm going to change this URL to an invalid URL. Okay. Now back in the browser, let's delete a post. We got this error. Now back to our Sentry.io dashboard. Let's select our project here. On this page, we can see all the unresolved issues. So as you can see, just a few seconds ago, we had a network error. Let's take a look here. On this page, you can see all kinds of data about this error, where it happened and how it happened. So on the top, you can see all the information about the environment. So my browser, Chrome version 67, the environment was our development environment. We can see my operating system, my IP address, and so on. Below that, we have our stack trace. And after that, we have breadcrumbs. This is my absolute favorite feature of Sentry.io because this tells us a story about how this error happened. So initially, we had this XML HTTP request or an AJAX request to this endpoint. We got the list of posts. After that, we had another XML HTTP request to this endpoint. This is for hot module reloading that we have in our development environment. Then we had a UI click event. And this is because I clicked on the delete button. And here you can see where that delete button is located. So we have a table. Inside that table, we have a T-body. Then we have a TR and so on. So I clicked this button. Then there was another XML HTTP request. So we sent a delete request to this endpoint. And as you can see, our URL is invalid because I put an S in front of HTTPS. And as a result of that, we got this exception, network error. Now let's go back to the list of issues. Here we have lots of other features for managing the issues. We can assign them to different developers in the team and then track if and when these issues are resolved. It's a very, very powerful tool. If you're interested to use Sentry.io, here's the pricing model for this service. If you're a hobbyist, you can use it for free. If you're a small team, you have to pay a monthly amount, and that amount goes up as the size of your application and the number of errors you want to track increases. But if you sign up via my website, you can get 2 months of their small plan for free. That is the value of $52. In case you're interested, you can find the link on my website at programwithmosh.com/tools.